Hello crafters, Amanda here. So today we're going to be making the calendar in an acetate window pocket project. So everything here, all the images are from my calendar project kit, which is available over on my Ko-fi. I'll leave the link below. We've made a previous project using the kit and we're going to make another one as well. So watch out for that. Now if you don't want to buy the kit, you can still follow along and you can make other things or use what you've got. So let's get cracking. So the first thing you need to do obviously is print out your calendar sheets and cut them to size. Now you're aiming to cut them all the same size so that it looks nice and neat, and they should end up measuring 5 1/4 by 7 3/8. Put a hole through, tie some ribbon. Now this envelope is designed to fit the calendar in when you've printed it on 120 GSM or under. If you use cardstock or thicker, you're going to need to put a gusset, a 1/4 of an inch gusset on there, so you're going to need to adjust the sizing, but it's very simple. Okay, so that is designed specifically for this. Okay, but the principle's super easy, you could really easily adapt it. So what you're going to need is 2 pieces of cardstock first of all. Now I work with UK A4 size, which is smaller on the length, I believe, than American. So if you're in the USA, you might need to use 12 by 12 for some of the longer lengths. Okay, so this is going to make the back and the flip of the envelope. So this measures, what does it measure? 6 3/4 by the full length of A4, which is 11 3/4 of an inch. I work in inches. Okay, and then the front part, which we're going to turn into a window, this measures 6 3/4 by 8. Okay, so we'll take the back piece first because that's the easiest thing to do. Put it on your scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, use a rounded blunt object and a ruler. Okay, and you want to score at 8 1/8. Now be careful because these are small increments. It's just to create a very small gusset at the top here. Okay, very small gusset at the top here so that it doesn't all just mash up when you're putting it, you know, when you're trying to close it. So 8 1/8. And what did I say? 8 3/8. So 1 2 3, that's there. Okay, so it's a very small increment, is that? Okay, so you can bob that to one side and bring in your other piece. So 6 3/4, this is the short side, because that side it's 8. So put it on the short side, okay, and you want to score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides, okay, only on 3 sides. Alright. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, oops, sliding, I need to just move my seat in position. 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Super easy. Okay, so what we need to do now is we're going to have to cut a window. So what I will tell you to do is fold and burnish those score lines so you can remember which is the front, because we're going to do the marking for to cut the window on the back side, so that if there's any pencil mark left you won't see it. Whilst you're here, grab your tape. Okay, your tape wants to go on this bit. So not on the inside, on the outside. So bob your tape on, central, not too close to the edge and not too close to the fold. Okay, might as well do this while we're here, unless you want to glue and then you can do it after. Okay, and the same with this one here. And I'll put tape all the way to the edges and then do my notching, because I've just discovered that you're not missing any tape then when you cut off. We'll do the notching in a minute. So that is going to be the front, because these flaps are going to fold over. okay, to attach. So put it on its back, flat out, alright, and then you want to get yourself a ruler and you want to make on the two sides and the bottom, you want to make a line at 1 inch from the cut edge, okay, from the cut edge, not from the score line, right from the cut edge. So 1 inch. Let me see if I can use this newfangled ruler of mine. Not 1 inch. What am I? No, yeah, no, 1 inch is right. So what's this? 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 inch, right? Okay. So I'm gonna have to put it on a pink background. 1 inch from the cut edge. Okay, but only on the 3 sides. We're gonna do it right. So that's 1 inch. Light pencil mark. Turn it. This is the bottom. 1 inch from the bottom as well. Ooh, this is funky. I can see what I'm doing. I don't have to do... Now, if you don't have one of these with all of the grid markings there, what you do is you mark, do a little line, mark, do a little line, mark, do a little line, and then join them up. This just makes... I've just bought this to make my life easier because I'm blind enough as it is. So that's 1 inch. And then at the top, okay, so you know which is your top because your top doesn't have a flap. This has got a flap, so that's the bottom. At the top, you only want 1/2 inch, okay? So 1/2 inch is there. How easy is that? How easy is having one of these rulers? It's like a game changer. If you can afford, what are they, £8 or £9 for a Tim Holtz ruler, or get yourself some kind of quilting ruler that have got these see-through measurements, it's a game changer. I'm a little bit late to the party. I'm a little bit late to the party. Now, the joy of this is that it is metal edged as well, so I should be able to do the cutting. Then what you want to do is cut that window out. Okay? So, I'll try not to get my mess of hair in the shot because it's Sunday morning and I'm in my jammies. I'm in my jammies. And I've got most of her right. Let me see if I can do this neatly. Take your time over this. If you don't have a blade, you can use scissors, or you can, if you're a clever clogs, you can use your trimmer. I've cut that a little bit on the wonk, but never mind. A little bit wonky mine. Doesn't matter. Okay, that one's better. Take your time and try not to do it wonky like I have. Okay, line it up. Okay, take your time. Don't do it wonky. Press down so that your ruler doesn't slip. That's my next purchase, is a non-slip ruler. Just be careful please be careful if you're using blades. Super careful. Make sure you put it away when you've done, out of the reach of small children and psychopaths. Okay, so I will put mine away and it goes up and out of reach. Right, so this should all just remove from here now. Okay. Right, so now we're going to add our acetate. Now I've pre-prepped my acetate to save time. And for these measurements, it needs to measure... Have I done that right? That looks bigger than that. No, it's right, it just looks bigger. The acetate measures... Let me have a look. Acetate, where's my acetate scoring? Here we go. 5 by 7. Okay, so it's 5 by 7, and then you put 3/8 of an inch tape. That's the skinny tape, really skinny tape. Don't use wider tape, otherwise when you stick it down you'll see the tape around the edges and you don't want that. If you don't have skinny tape, you can use glue, and what you're looking for is that. Have I cut that right? I don't think I've cut that right, mate. Let me just check that I've not done my actual thingy wrong. Okay, so that's correct. I don't think I've cut my acetate wide enough. What have I done it at? I've used my old measurements before I extended the size of the box. Bear with me and I'll resize it. So what I'd done was I was using my old measurements, but I've made this envelope bigger, and so that's why it didn't fit. So your acetate needs to be 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. All the measurements over on Ko-fi will be absolutely spot on. So then what you want to do is just grab your bone folder, just rub it over the tape. Makes it easier to remove. Remove your tape. You can use glue. If you use glue, less is more with acetate, so it doesn't, because it's going to spread. It's plastic. It's not going to absorb any of the glue. It's going to spread. So be very careful. Okay. Pick that up. Alright, so the bottom again is where the flap is. Okay, and the top doesn't have one. So what you want to do now, you've got your tape on there, can you see? It almost helps give you a visual guide for centering it. Alright, so it needs to go on there. Make sure it's not too close to any of the score lines, and make sure that the tape, if you use thinner tape, if you use 3/8 of an inch tape, it won't protrude over there, and you know, so you can see it on the other side. Alright, so that's that bit. So now we need to notch. We need to notch these pieces. So where the two score lines intersect here, we're going to cut across the score line. Alright, we've already got our tape on the other side if you followed me. So we're just going to go, in fact, yeah, I'll do it on this side. So we're just going to go and we're going to notch across the score line. Okay. As long as you're cutting through the centre of those two, it should be fine. Then just fold them up and just make sure that they don't overlap. Okay, like that. That one doesn't. That one does ever so slightly. If they overlap, go back and take another sliver off. You don't want them to, these overlapping each other when they're folded, because it creates bulk. Okay, so those are perfect, see? But if they were overlapped like that, then you need to take a sliver off. Alright, let me just check, because we don't want any bulk. We want it to be nice and flat. There we go. Right, so now you want to give those score lines a right good burnish, because we've had them folded out while we put our acetate on. Okay, then bring in your back piece, do your folding, and oh no, how have I got that dirty? Not happy about that. Oh, my matting and layering will cover it. Not to worry, I'm not wasting it. My paper will cover over that. I don't know how that's happened. It must have come out of the pack like that, because it's been in a drawer. So fold and burnish that little score mark there, and then at this point, if you want to round this, it might be a good idea, whilst you've got less bulk hanging about. Okay. The show must go on. I'm not bothered if I've got mucky card. I'll cover it over with my pretty paper. I'm not wasting it. Right, so that's that bit. So now what you want to do is obviously attach this to here. Alright? So, what I often do is I'll start and I'll just remove one piece of tape. Okay? So that I can then line it up. Alright, so I'm going to have to lift it up to myself because I'm absolutely blind. So I'm going to start and line up one corner. I've kept the rest of the tape on the other side so that it, you know, I don't get in a sticky mess. Okay, and then you can remove them. Make sure it's lined up. Okay, I'm probably making more of a meal of it than I need to. Okay, still not right. This is why I don't take the rest of my tape off, because if you've got wonky eyes like me, there we go. So that's nice and flush. So it's nice and neat and tidy all the way around. So now I can go back in and remove the rest of my tape. That is how I do it. Just because I know that I'll end up in a sticky mess if I take them all off at once. Okay, so once I've got one side and one corner straight, I'm confident now that I can get the rest of it lined up. Okay, perfect. And then your calendar will slip in there. Okay, it's quite flexible. Lovely jubbly. Let's put the calendar in because I have resized it and made it bigger, and that slides in a lot better. Beautiful, that's perfect fit. Okay, perfect. So then what we're going to do is we're going to mat and layer with our patterned paper, and the patterned paper is in the kit. And I have pre-cut my pieces, if I've cut them right. There's no saying I've cut them right. Let me have a look. Beautiful is this paper, absolutely stunning. I love the colour that came out. I had to mess about with it quite a bit to get the shade, exact shade that I wanted. So this back piece measures 5.5 by 7 7/8. Super simple. I'm going out today with my middle daughter who is expecting a baby in April, and so they're on with getting the house all decorated and all looking lovely, and she's so she keeps dragging me to the range. How times change. At one time you could never get any of my children to go to the range. They hated it, they hated IKEA. Oh no, they couldn't think of anything worse, and now they're dragging me there. So that fits on perfect. Okay, make sure you do glue all the way to the edges. Obviously I have to do it faster for the video. And then the front part here measures 3 by 5 1/4. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah. So I've done it so that you've got 1/8 of an inch all the way around. You know, so you cut your paper 1/4 of an inch smaller than whatever your thingamabob is, your card is. So I'm going to round, because I've rounded the corners on the card, I'm going to have to round the corners on the paper as well. Otherwise it will look silly. Okay. Now here's a tip again, I've given this tip loads of times, if you're punching with light paper and your punch doesn't like it, put some scrap card behind the corner you want to punch and punch both layers. Your punch will like it far better. Okay. I think I give that tip every time I punch anything with my corner rounder, because I don't think it matters what brand you get. I think sometimes we expect too much from craft tools. You know, they're only going to do so much. They're not going to be able to punch through the thinnest of thin because there's just not enough leverage there. Okay. Now if you want a smaller increment, obviously you'd cut your paper a little bit larger. So measure it with your ruler, measure it by eye, measure it however you want to measure it, and get the increment that you like. So down the sides here, so these are 1/2 inch. So ideally you'd cut 1/4 of an inch. But who wants to be bothered with 1/4 of an inch strips of paper? So I have cut them slightly larger. I've done them at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, because I'm not messing about with slivers of paper. I haven't got time for it. Right, so these, I've done them 3/8 of an inch wide, and then when it comes to measuring them, I do it by eye. So I'll do the 2 long strips the full length, and then the bottom and the top to fit in like a jigsaw. And I'm just going to cut 2 the same on the length. I haven't got time for tiny slivers of paper in trimmers or measuring tiny slivers of paper. Do it, you know, as careful as you can. Unless it's an heirloom, you know, wedding album, it would be fine. Okay. So that one will go there. Like so. Just make sure it's centred nicely. You know, it might not be an heirloom project, but you can still take time and effort. And if, you know, if it's going to be a gift, or, you know, sell them on your craft stalls, or whatever you want to do with it, you want it to be nice. And this is a lovely gift. I think it's a lovely gift. I wouldn't mind one of these. I mean, I don't need nobody to give me one because I can make my own, but you know what I mean? It's pretty and it's useful. Okay, so get them made, get them printed out and get them made. You've only got a certain window of opportunity. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you can give these for the new year. You know, it's a calendar. So it's perfect for anybody. You don't have to celebrate Christmas. I mean, I'm quite Grinchy. If I didn't have children, I probably wouldn't myself, but not for religious reasons, just for miserable, miserable I hate it reasons. I don't really, it's a lot of kerfuffle, isn't it, for one day. And then there's the cooking and the washing up. If I was on a cruise in the middle of the Caribbean for Christmas Day, then I would, you know, I'd manage. I wouldn't be complaining. You know, it might be a bit of a struggle and a bit of a bind being in the middle of the Caribbean, to St Thomas, St Kitts or wherever. Maybe Aruba. It's lovely in Aruba. I've travelled a lot of the Caribbean. I love it. But thanks to COVID and the fact that I like to travel with an American-based cruise company, I can't go now because I refuse to have the jab. And you can't step foot in America or on American territory, which includes cruise ships, because they're part of American territory, unless you've been jabbed. And I'm not going to be forced. So, no Caribbean cruise for me. Never mind. There's worse things, isn't there? I can stay at home and wash up. So there we go. I don't know why I'm waffling about that. Then obviously you get your ribbon and you, I'll reuse this one rather than cut another length. You could add a, you know, an eyelet on a ring and do a twine binding. But I just thought, what's the point of having a window with this beautiful image to then cover it up with one of those? Or a magnet or something. It seems silly. So just a very simple, pretty ribbon. I mean, you know, things don't have to be all singing and all dancing to look absolutely lovely. So all you need to do, little piece of ribbon, tie it in a sometimes simple is the best, a bit like me. So there you go, there's your acetate little envelope to hold this. Look at that, it's absolutely stunning, isn't it? It is really lovely, it really is. Now, I did say a few days ago that I was going to do hidden giveaways, so if you're still here to the end and you want to win one of my poker tools, they are handmade. This is going to be restricted to the UK, I'm afraid, because I don't want American customs or USA customs or Canadian customs or wherever, Australian, coming for me for sending sharp objects through the post. So unfortunately it's UK only. However, still comment, because if an international winner is drawn, I'll send you a free digital kit. I'll send you this kit for free, how about that? Yeah, how about that? So, yeah. So if you've watched to the end, then you need to know that you need to put in the comments, whatever your normal comment is, and then put, I'd love a pokey tool, Amanda. Those are the magic words to get entered to the draw, and only those that say those words will get entered, because then I know you've watched the video to the end. See? I'm not as daft as I am cabbage looking. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.